Hey y'all, welcome to Enchanted Chatter. As you can see, today we have a special guest. Caroline's joining me. Bree's taking the night off, so it'll be the two of us tonight. I'm very grateful that Caroline could join. You may know her as LorcanaBelle across Discord, social, all the things. The woman behind many trivia where I am terrible and lose horribly because your questions are insane. But I love that. I love that because it makes my Disney heart happy. I want like good questions. I don't want questions that I can figure out easy. I loved. I think you posted it in the Illuminateers channel, the birthday.
Yeah,
I liked that question. That was fun.
it's a good one. Well, and it just so happens that my birthday falls on the same day as Katie from the Lore Keepers Inn and Kendall Not of World Class Cards, formerly of Maelstrom. And so, a whole bunch of Lorcana friendos with their birthdays on the same day had to throw out a birthday question. It was a good time.
We love that. Well, would you like to introduce yourself and give the people a little background of who you are and what you do in the Lorcana community?
Sure. So for those who don't know, hi, I'm LorcanaBelle. You can call me Caroline. I don't mind being called by my government name, as Wonderland likes to say. I have been creating content in the Lorcana space for just over a year. I am the trivia master and server admin for the Illuminateers. I'm also one of the founding organizers and the Discord admin, but I have a great mod team with me for Love to Lore, which is a community for marginalized gender players, both on Discord as well as we have pockets like kind of all around the country right now, and one in the UK. It's a good time. And obviously we have social accounts as well. If you don't belong to that community, you're welcome to support us there. And I also do my own thing sometimes. So I have my own accounts on Twitter and Instagram you can follow. I don't stream as much as I would like to do. I used to do some Instagram lives where I would make bracelets and just chat with people. Fortunately, really, because I had a lot of time when I was unemployed, but now I'm employed, so
always a good thing.
Always a good thing.
You can do your Lorcana when you're getting that money.
Exactly, more money for shiny cardboard. But I don't have as much time as I would like to devote to the community as I used to. So fewer live streams and more just little reels, little here and there.
I love that you say you have less time for the community, but I don't think that there's a Discord, a post, a live that you don't have a little piece of because you're so well connected in the community and support so many amazing content creators. Definitely don't want you to sell yourself short.
I appreciate that. So that's kind of the thing that I do the most on my own, right? It's I serve in a support role for a lot of content creators, including most of the official North American casters. So I have done a lot of collaborating with, obviously, the Illuminateers, but also B Squared and I worked on a performance tracker for the first season of DLCs. So we have a giant spreadsheet that's got all the data on everybody who's ever made a day 2. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks that I can get that updated so that it's got all the information in it for Worlds, but it does have at least the Worlds qualifiers in there and all their historical data, how they qualified. I don't have continental results in there, which is really the big piece that I'm missing and I want to get done. And then Rebecca and I obviously have collaborated on Love to Lore. I've supported her with, preparing for interviews and things like that, talking about storylines within events. So it's really been a lot of behind the scenes, and it's something I really enjoy. I don't necessarily feel the need to step in front of the mic and be a caster. I feel like I could if I wanted to. I have a lot of experience public speaking. Today's actually the 5th anniversary of my original podcast that I launched with my best friend during the pandemic, our pandemic project, so to speak, that we ran for 2.5 years and has, I think, probably 16,000 downloads by now. Yeah, it just keeps going. It's incredible how things like that, live on even after you stop really doing anything with them. I also did a podcast with Lorcana and a Lumiere cast, Ladies Who Lore. That was relatively short-lived because life stuff, but we had a good time, and I feel like we put out some quality stuff while we did it. And yeah, I do a lot. You're not wrong.
I love it. Maybe you are right. I do a lot. Yeah.
And that's in addition to my day job where I do communications and social media and PR professionally.
Which is why you're just fantastic supporting everybody in the community. I think you do also a really great job of connecting people. I know I've reached out to you before to figure out like who would be a good fit for this and who do you think like I can go to ask like this question. And I feel like I've made a lot of friendships, not only with you, but like through you and 2 other people.
It is what some people call my superpower is, oh, hi, Liam.
Oh, hello.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, it is a little bit what I call my superpower. And other people said it before I did, in that I connect people and I see the way that people would get along and would plug into each other. Blessing and a curse sometimes, because like eventually they get along so well that they don't need me, and I'm just like, okay, bye. But
I definitely you're kind of stuck with me now. Sorry.
I mean, we've bonded over the fact that we both have a house that's in shambles right now. So
yeah, right now we are both living the struggle bus. So I currently, as many of you know, I live in Texas. My house is currently 82 degrees on the inside because my AC broke, which is not fun in Texas. And poor Caroline is riding the struggle bus of loud houses trying to dry your house out, right?
Yeah, we're drying the floor out in our guest bathroom where there was a leak. There are 2 giant dehumidifiers and a huge industrial fan moving air through my house right now. Unfortunately, the dehumidifiers spit out 102 degree air, and so our houses are probably similar temperatures right now, even though I have working AC.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to run it against something putting out that high.
We're trying. We're
trying. Okay, that's good.
It's not working.
It's not working.
I went downstairs to check on my husband and grab my laptop, and after he pulled his fancy magic card, which he's downstairs having just pulled a $140 card out of the Final Fantasy set, he points at the thermostat. He goes, "It's 76 degrees in here." He's like, "Yeah, turn the AC down. That's all I got for you."
Yeah, I mean,
I would guess Courtney's humidity is probably worse because at least ours is a dehumidifier, so it's not spitting out humid air, it's dry air.
And luckily we had rain today, so it's actually not humid anymore. It was humid yesterday and this morning, but as of right now, it's pretty okay. So
So we're just gonna, live in the world of Lorcana.
Yeah, nothing else exists.
The actually,
house. There's no problems, no world. Who's an adult? Not us. It's a trap.
Homeownership? What's that?
That. This weekend, you were helping support one of the first big tournaments of the new set. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So the Ink Inc Invitational is this weekend. Obviously, we also had world-class cards. They were kind of previewing the Worlds format. So this was strictly core-constructed, casted by JDC Quest, Key Issues Garrick of the Lorcana Lair, and Colors Law. All fantastic, wonderful people who did a wonderful job. I was really impressed that they didn't really take a break ever at all. They just went. And
I have casted only once. I helped cast during the Diet Coke Invitational,
Right. Yeah.
the famous Diet Coke Invitational, and I had a blast doing it. It was so much fun, but it is definitely
It
exhausting,
is.
and I have so much more respect after casting now for casters. Not that I didn't before. I know it's a lot of work, but once you are in the position, you get like a completely new like perspective.
Yeah, it's a challenging thing. It's very exhausting to be on for that long straight
Yeah.
in any format, but especially thinking about not just are you on in front of the people in front of you, but you're also on for who knows how many viewers through the webcam, and so it's very challenging to like play to an audience you can't see, and you just have to hone that skill. It takes a lot of preparation. Both Baker and Liam have done videos about this recently, and I highly recommend those to folks. If you are interested in casting, or if you wonder, like, oh, well, why is casting so hard? Go watch. They do a lot of preparation. Um, I've been prepping with our Worlds casters since they got announced, basically, for Worlds, because the format is
It,
ridiculously different.
so it's crazy because you think on a normal casting day, you have a pretty good idea
Of
what
what you're going to
decks
see.
you're going to see and what cards you're going to see and basically what you need to know and what you can just go, my brain doesn't have space for that. It's fine. We'll worry about that another day.
Right.
And
And if you have somebody who's got a spicy deck or a couple of spicy tech cards, like for instance, I go back to Zach Bivens in Atlanta throwing Jiminy Cricket into his Amethyst and Steel. Um, Brandon and Liam very famously tell the story of how they were like scrolling through the Lorcana app trying to figure out, okay, what card is this? And while they were still mid-match, uh, you have those one-offs, and you can do that with Super Sealed. You can't do that. You're gonna
no,
be
because
every single card.
yeah.
So we've been doing flashcards. I've been like cropping the image from the app just down to the art,
So
and
they can identify
I
it.
give it to a couple of them who have asked for help prep, and asking the challenge is, okay, you get 2 minutes. Tell me as much as you know about this card. And then once you've all submitted your answers, then I'll revert the image, send it, and we'll go over like what you missed and how you might have like been able to correct each other, bounce off each other if you've been in the booth together. Like it's wild.
It is.
It's 816 cards.
Yeah.
The pool is enormous.
I like it's going to be crazy. I think I'm so excited because I think all of the casters that are doing Worlds are just wonderful,
we got we
wonderful
got the
casters.
we got a perfect lineup. Like
I think that they all are going to, like, no matter who gets paired with who, I feel like the chemistry is going to be there. And then on top of that, like, just listening to you say, like, you're helping prep them. And I know all of them care so deeply about the community. And I think grasp the fact that everybody in the community really wanted to be there. And because they can't, I think not that the casters wouldn't have taken it seriously if the community could have been there, but
they feel an
I think
extra
that
sense of responsibility.
yeah, exactly. So
And
I'm just
they take that very seriously. Like
I'm
having
so
spoken
excited.
to all of them, like they take that very seriously, and they are committed to bringing us the best show that they can. Not just like as much as they can, but the best quality product and the best quality show.
Yeah.
Entertaining us and making it magical for the
Agreed. And it's going to be very funny because we're going to see how many times I get yelled at from the beach when I'm on my vacation with my husband, because I'm going to be like, what's happening here? Who's streaming now?
Lorcana.
Like, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. I'm just checking my phone. Somebody text me.
Yeah. So anyway, all of that to say, sort of getting off track of but all of that to say, Garrick and Color, in addition to JDC, are also very dedicated to the game and very mindful of like bringing that level of commitment to any event. And I think that is something we are seeing sort of across the board right now in the absence of DLCs at the moment, is that both broadcasters as well as TOs and stores want to fill that void.
Yeah.
And want to create top-notch experiences for players and opportunities for players to compete. And so this Ink Inc Invitational is the second one they've done. It was 128 players. They filled every seat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And where was this event again?
So this is in Savage, Maryland.
Okay, that's what I was like. I thought it was on the East
Coast. So it's like between DC and Baltimore, kind of. Yeah, DMV area, my old stomping grounds before we moved.
And also familiar with the area. I lived in DC for a year.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. It's funny because JDC has been out now twice, once for the first Ink Inc and now for this one. And I thought when he was out there for the previous one, I was like, oh, that's like, you're local, cool. And he's like, no, I came out from the West Coast.
I was like, that's a hike.
It is. But he's been putting in the reps to prep for Worlds,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
and totally understand, because I think a lot of like, if I were in his shoes or any of the other casters, I would want to be casting as much as humanly possible, because that's going to be the best way you.
Right. The only way you prepare is practice, really.
Yeah. Well. You provided this wonderful breakdown of the meta for the event.
They used a version of this graphic on stream, as I was able to do some live data aggregation and graphic creation for them, since I was plugged into supporting the stream with both Team Ink Inc as well as Garrick and JDC doing and Color doing the broadcasting. I had a little bit of prep this time. The last time I did this was for the Lucky Llama Showdown, and I just sort of like last minute plugged in with JDC and Dan, and they gave me access like day of to their spreadsheet. It was like, do what you want with this. And I was like, okay.
Okay, let me figure out what I can do.
I had their logo ahead of time. I was able to like prep some backgrounds and graphics and things. So like this is a graphic. The background is a graphic asset from Ravensburger for Reign of Jafar set. We used the ink splatter because it's the Ink Inc Invitational. And then I was able to play. I had a lot more time to play with these gradients, so I don't have the silly line in the middle. It's much nicer looking. I made it, Marion. I made it. It's very simple and straightforward in Excel. Not hard. You just gotta.
I just wish I could make the pretty graphics that Ink. Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Oh, I will remember eventually. They do the nice chart where it has like the card images as.
Oh yeah, Inkborn Heroes. Yeah, they have the
Inkborn Heroes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Their charts make my heart happy.
They do have the images in the chart. I will figure out how to do that at some point.
I get it.
But this one I had more time. I had like 2 days before, 3 days before. When I have like, I'm already planning on not just supporting but attending the Ink Inc Open, which will be their next event. It'll be 256 players, and it will be in September at a new store. Which I'm very excited to try and go to and at least support the Core Constructed event, if not also maybe play in their Infinity event that they're going to do.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, they're going to do a 128 player Infinity event, which is going to be dope. But yeah, so maybe with this extra like lead time, I will have time to like play with some things and make something nice, something really, really premium looking. But
so we saw, obviously, the biggest piece of the meta was Amber Steel.
Yes, and the biggest point of contention for me here was that it was really like dead even, like traditional Steel Song versus like a more aggro build.
Okay.
And there were also a couple of like diggy hole kind of things, like people bringing back the Knights in the Mines. It's like, okay, this is interesting. And it's actually a diggy hole deck that won the whole thing, Crit Spice.
Yeah. Which I love Amber Steel. I'm terrible at diggy hole. I don't know what, my brain just cannot compute for some reason.
I've never tried it. I love Steel Song. There's no reason for me to mess with it. Like,
exactly.
Why would I change it? And then we had Ruby Sapphire and Amethyst Sapphire made up pretty decent chunks. Ruby Sapphire was mostly the like actions shark build. We did have a couple of item builds, including one Oswald build, which was wild to me.
Okay.
Blurple, the big split right now between archetypes is like, do you play 1-drops or do you not play 1-drops? Or is the only 1-drop you play Popsicle? Yeah. Do you play 1-drop characters or not? And that split was interesting. We can look at that graphic in a minute. Emerald Amethyst, people are shifting back to the tempo build rather than the discard build, which I appreciate. Getting with discard, please and thank you.
So I'm not gonna lie, I do love the Emerald Amethyst discard and tempo, and my build last set was like a mix between the two, and I liked having both options. Like, I do not like playing Emerald Steel. It just feels, I don't know, it feels icky. I would like to play against someone. I don't want to play by myself. Like, I came to play Lorcana with somebody, not just sit here and play by myself. That's why I don't play Ruby Sapphire either. But with Amethyst Emerald, I feel like a lot, it feels like there's a lot more options. It feels like the game is a little bit more back and forth, and feels like you have a little bit more tools in your toolbox when you're playing with it and you're playing against different decks. You can kind of decide which avenue to take.
The mayor is tired of the Amethyst birds. Well, the good news is there weren't all bird builds here. It was definitely a mix. Some of the builds were very reminiscent of old, like, Mo Shamblin builds for me, which made me very happy because Mo's a friend. And also, that deck's just fun to watch.
It's definitely a good one.
Yeah.
And then I love this graphic that you shared with me. So I think you mentioned one of the casters asked you to pull this together.
So Color's Law actually had the idea to try and measure the impact of the new set, since this is sort of one of the first major tournaments in the new set, by looking at the number of cards from Reign of Jafar in everybody's decks. And so while they were doing the first 3 rounds, I went through everybody's Dreamborns and counted how many set 8 cards were in everybody's lists.
Which I think, like, this is such a good moment of, like, someone's got to do it. If you want the data, someone has to do it, and it's really
I could, export list from Dreamborn and like write a script to tell Excel like what a set 8 card is, those for me and count them for me. Like I could do that. It is faster for me to just go ahead and click every Dreamborn link and go, okay, 4, 8, 10, 4. Okay, good. So,
But I think
95 decks, and right now I'm still missing a couple of deck lists. So this is out of 115 decks that we have data for total.
Yeah, I just think that it's such an interesting way to look at the meta when we move into a new set. Like how is that set impacting the meta?
Right.
How many new cards are we seeing? And I think the way like you broke this down was awesome. And I think like it is
and the casters really led the idea. Like they said, let's do this, and I said, okay, what to you is the measure of like the break point of like, yes, the set has made an impact on this deck. And there's some debate about like, is it 4, is it 8, is it 4 unique cards, or is it just 4 cards period?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately they decided 4 of 60, so just 4 cards period. And so that's the data we have here. And it turns out like half of the players had more than 4 cards from Reign of Jafar in their decks. So that to me says this is a pretty powerful set. It also goes back to the fact that Amber Steel was the most popular deck here, because the most common Reign of Jafar card, which I almost always saw as a 4 of, was the 1-drop Rhino, 1/16 Wolf. Almost always paired with his shift buddy.
Shift target, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those were the most common. The deck that had the most Reign of Jafar cards in it was a Racer deck, and it had 23 set 8 cards, which is so many.
That's insane. I didn't even realize that many Racers came out in this set.
Yeah, it's there were a couple of King Candy cards. There was a new Vanellope. There was the Lloyd Orange Boar. There was also Candy Shift, the action to do with Racers, and then there was a lot of support for it, even if it wasn't necessarily all Racer characters. And so, yeah, that Amber Ruby Racer archetype definitely saw a big boost with the last 2 sets for sure, but definitely this set strongly.
All right. I will share really quick the breakdown of the different styles of deck.
Yeah, the different archetypes. We looked at a couple of different archetype breakdowns, and there are some decks that I had colors for, but I didn't have data on because the deck list didn't get shared.
That's fair.
So if you see unknown in these bar charts, that's what that is. It's like, I know that someone played this color pairing. I have no idea what the archetype is. So,
so
Ruby Amethyst, we saw a lot more evasive last set.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing that.
Not seeing that as much. I'm interested to see. Like, I feel like it's also will be interesting comparing this. Next week, in 2 weeks, what shifts in the mix here?
Yeah.
Because I feel like evasives, like an evasive build decks, that's something that like if we see one deck that's trending that way, all of a sudden we'll see a shift in the build type and see that go up or go down, vice versa, because of that. So I think this definitely makes sense that we've seen it drop, because I just don't think it's as necessary. So you can put in some of those other cards instead.
And it was interesting too. I figured, based on how stagnant Ruby Amethyst has been for so long as a deck, that they would be one of the more common ones that didn't have any Reign of Jafar cards. Every single Ruby Amethyst deck that I have seen, so I don't know about the unknown one, but every single one that I've seen fit at least one Reign of Jafar card into their deck.
And was it a giant whale?
No. Most of the time it was Hades.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. The draw power.
Yeah, the Hades. And then somebody did a Most Everyone's Mad here.
Okay.
Like 7 cost action. I was like, that's a random choice, but okay, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I've seen some people playing that as well. So yeah, your traditional amber steel. This is what I'm always most excited to look at the
Yes.
meta for Steel Song, because that is
So it's hard for me to call it traditional because it has every one of these decks has the addition of Rhino. So this is Rhino Song now for me. And then
that's fair.
yeah. And then you have Aggro Song, which is more your Daisy Ducks and your Piglets and your like maybe some Docks even in some cases.
Yeah, and the new not Daisy, the new lady.
Yes, the new lady, and sometimes Darling Deer as well. In some cases, they
And the
add
Darling
like
Deer is what is that? A 3-drop that adds 2 lore
I can look it up
to a
for you
character.
right
I'm
now.
quizzing you now. You normally quiz the casters. I'm quizzing you on, is my knowledge correct?
Yeah.
Um,
Darling
what's
Deer
a
is a
5?
5-drop. Yeah.
Okay,
5-drop 4/4. When you play this character, chosen character gets +2 more this turn.
there we go.
Yeah. So pretty sticky at 4/4.
Yep.
But also pretty expensive at 5 cost.
Yeah.
Especially for some of the aggro builds that want to stay low to the ground. Yeah, some of them were only running characters up to 4 ink. Some of them were running Rapunzel's Tower too, which was interesting to make.
That Rapunzel's Tower is so good.
It is pesky. It doesn't come around all the time, but when it does, it's very sneaky. And the biggest difference for me between Aggro Song and Diggy Diggy Hole is the presence of mines.
I mean, yep.
You can't.
I would agree with that.
Diggy Diggy Hole is literally a dwarf song. You can't have that archetype without the mine.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of those, including the winning deck. And then you had a couple of other like variations on the traditional Steel Song. You had folks who were fitting in the Beyond the Horizon, which is that new sort of substitute wheel a little bit, that substitute whole new world. You had people who were going back to the Robin Hood archetype of instead of the Rhino shift, they're doing the Robin Hood shift. And then McPhilly, my buddy, Philip Sharp, all the way from Arkansas, he and Lexi came out, and he played vintage Steel Song, which was nothing past set 5.
I mean,
it was wild, and he made top 8.
I love that. I mean, so I think there's something to be said of when a new set drops, if you have experience with a deck, sometimes the answer is like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. I'd rather be comfortable with what I know and just play my deck that has been tried and true up until this point and take it to the next tournament. If there's new cards, there's new cards. But I know how to play all my play lines in this deck. And I don't think that's necessarily a wrong choice.
I don't disagree with it either. And it's interesting because Steel Song has not traditionally, I think at Lucky Llama, no, he was organizing there. He didn't play. But what I've primarily seen him play before is Sapphire Steel. It's not been Amber Steel.
Okay.
So it's super interesting to me that this was like, yeah, I'm gonna throw it back. I'm gonna roll up for one last shot with these cards because they're all about to get rotated.
Man, I'm nervous about my Steel Song. Particularly now knowing that Wheel isn't coming back.
Liam.
It hurts my soul.
Liam over here in the comments with puns galore. And then for Ruby Sapphire, again, I said this earlier, largely that
yeah, we had largely the action deck, which
although
makes sense.
One person did decide to go hard into the control with the Medusa and Tremaine and Be King and Be Prep.
I cannot wait for if there's one thing that I won't miss as a Steel Song player, the ladies in chairs, if they disappear,
Amen.
I never saw them again. I'm not mad.
It wouldn't be that bad.
Not mad at all. I mean, anything with a strength of 3 or less, it's so many
It's
cards.
so wide ranging. Yeah.
And then
we talked about Emerald Amethyst a little, yeah.
Yeah, which I am pleasantly surprised. Like this is a bigger chunk than I
It's a very even
so
split.
Bria's in the chat and she told me to take back my comment about ladies in chairs because she does love her ladies in chairs and she plays them very well. They're in her the deck that she calls her man-eater deck. Which I do love the name of that deck. She's amazing at playing that deck. I still hate it because I still like.
Yeah, you're making a good point. There's always infinity.
There is always infinity.
And I'm really hoping that the community and Ravensburger provides some strong support.
Yeah,
for them.
I was a little disappointed when they said that they most likely wouldn't be including it any like competitive events for this like coming season. But like
I hope that we see that change over time.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping as well. I think it'll be fun to play, and I think having like the two types of place and having two metas will be like an interesting experience, and just like changes it up.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So the next question I have, because I think I was like, is there anything else from this weekend that we didn't highlight?
I really just want to like shout out the guys at Ink Inc because they really were like, they listened, they were open to feedback, and like creating the graphics for them was a really iterative process of like, you know, let me put this together for you and send you as a draft and you give me some thoughts about it. And they were like, we want to change this, we want to change this, can you try this? And I was like, great, let me fix it. And sent them a new draft. They were like, here's a different logo, can you try this instead? And I was like, sure, pop that in. No, you were right, go back to the old one. It's like, cool, sounds good. I do this for my day job a little bit, but that's fine. Like, I'm happy for you to try it and see it and make that decision. Like,
as someone who also does like content creation, I definitely, in my day job, I definitely can understand. I'm like, here, client, look at this. Oh, you don't like that? Okay, here, you can look at this. Oh, you do now like the other one better, and that's why I gave it to you. I saw both options before. This is not my first rodeo.
Right, exactly. No, but it was a really good process, and also the day of, they were willing to like troubleshoot with me, and they were responsive when I was like, hey, I only have 90 submissions. Is that all the people that showed up?
Is that right?
Is that right? Like, should I close it? Like, should I just go ahead and make the graphics? Like, what's going on? And the answer was unfortunately a little more confusing than that, but we figured it out. And there's a couple of decks we're still hunting down, but we've got the large majority of them. It's overall been a really good process, and I'm really looking forward to working with them again. I also have to shout out our casters because Garrick and JDZ have both done this several times, but Garrick was on the hook this time. They cast and produce at the same time. So he's the one like running the OBS situation, like making sure all the cameras and mics are hooked up the right way, and like putting the graphics on screen and responding to chat.
In my free time, whenever I find that said free time, I'm gonna figure out how OBS works.
Right. I've picked up like little things here and there just from like working with JDC and like collaborating with him on some other content, not casting related. But they are incredibly talented and very hard workers, and I just admire what they do so much. And that's part of why I do what I do, right? It's like, I want them to have a story to tell and information to work with in order to better convey what's going on. Hi, Melissa! In order to better convey what's going on to folks at home who can't be in the room. Melissa was actually at Ink Inc Invitational, which was pretty fantastic. I am bummed that I didn't get to go and see her, but I hope that she will be there in September so that I can see her there.
I will have to. I have been holding back, but also somehow all of these tournaments keep falling on weekends that I have plans.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful that this fall there will be lots of Lorcana time and lots of weekends traveling for Lorcana, because I miss everybody.
Yeah. One of the other things that I'm really grateful to Ink Inc for is like I told them, I was like, I have plans. We have a friend who has a play premiering in Salem tonight. I gotta drive for several hours this afternoon. You know, I'm only gonna be able to support you guys live up until like noon or 1 o'clock. And they were very respectful of that. They reached out to me via Discord a couple of times, but I told them that was okay. Like, and once it was showtime, I could put my phone away, and they didn't need me anymore. And like, it's very, very cool to have a group of collaborators who is respectful of that, but also who can be responsive and iterative and creative with you on the front end of things in order to facilitate you being able to just let go and let them do their thing when you need to. So like very, very professional environment. I was really thrilled with it. I am really hoping to be able to support them with even more stuff come September. I'm also in talks with Sharp Gaming to maybe support their 8K come the end of July. Not coming out there. I will not be able to make a trip all the way to Arkansas, unfortunately.
Darn it.
Not in the works for me at the moment, just the way that work is. But
yeah, nope, that's fair. I am actually hoping to go to that event. I'm very excited. I feel like July is going to be like the month of Lorcana because we have big event here in Texas for PPG, and then that. So I'm very excited.
I am not coming to the PPG event in DFW. Unfortunately, Texas is not a super safe place for somebody like me trying to have a kiddo right now, and so that's not a place that I am going to be traveling for Lorcana to in the future. But I'm hopeful that PPG will have other events in other places in the country that I would be more comfortable attending.
Yeah, I think they definitely will. I know that I think they announced did they announce a couple other ones? I don't remember.
They have announced some qualifiers.
Yeah, which we're lucky because not that I expected them to have like tons of qualifiers, because if you're getting a buy, you can't have, so many events. Ooh, some little inside knowledge. Denver and Florida.
Yes, I did hear about the Denver one. I think Katie and Linz were talking about that because they're both Denver locals.
I was able to go up to Denver for SCG, and that was really fun. Bree and I both.
It's a good area. Denver is like the only place that I have gone in the last, I don't know, 4 years. Well, no, that's not true. Denver's the only place in the last 4 years that I've gone that wasn't on the East Coast.
That's fair.
I had to go for work, but it was really fun, and their airport was not a nightmare. So I will go there again.
That's fair. We actually, Bree's husband was our chauffeur, and I say that very literally because he just drove us the whole way from Texas up to Denver, which is an eventful drive. It's pretty and not horribly long. There's a ton of very good Thai food. We went to a what did we go? Bree, it was like a dual place.
Like a fusion.
It was hot pot. It was hot pot and
Like pho or ramen or
no, hot, like had a hot plate and everything. So
oh,
it was
fun.
delicious. We all went in stretchy pants and ate our weight. And I now have the best picture of Bree's son, who was having a rough day, as you know, toddlers sometimes do. But every time you gave him Korean barbecue, that's why my brain was not working. This is what happens when little sleep is entered because the house is too hot. Yeah, Deckard literally would cry unless he had noodles. Noodles equaled happiness. No noodles, unhappy. And I mean, like,
hey,
can relate.
Can relate, kid. I understand. I feel you. Noodles are a great food. Noodles do bring happiness and joy.
Yeah, and I have this amazing picture of him just like handful, this tiny little guy, just a handful
Just
into the face, and with like a big smile on his face. And it's like, I want people to look at me the way Deckard looks at noodles.
Incredible. Yeah, I feel like those are the two reasons, like Lorcana and food are the two reasons that I want to go places now as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, which is hilarious to say because like I've been a lot of places in the world and
but,
gotten
you know,
to do a lot of cool things. But like I am a boring 32-year-old now. I play with shiny cardboard and I eat good food.
I eat yummy food. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Also, same range, and definitely am boring and just like shiny cards and good food.
Books.
And books, yes. Yes.
Yeah, the only reason I don't have my books behind me today is, again, because it is loud out there. It is much quieter.
Which is fair. So I had some questions. So you help backstage, obviously, and we've talked a lot about like how you support. What is the most unique question that casters have asked you to like research that you were just like, I'm sorry, what?
So it's funny because a lot of the time it just sort of happens organically. It's like, okay, you know, this is the data that I've gathered. It's like, okay, I have people's names, I have their mailing names, I have where they're from, I have their deck list, I have their placement, I have yada yada. And we'll kind of, and I have their team sometimes. I've done a lot of digging into that. There are so many teams out there. But there's a group of guys in Ink Thieves, Sarek and J-Bomb and Sarek's brother, whose name escapes me at the moment, and I always do this, and I feel terrible about it. They run unsungheroes.gg, and they track numbers on the Golden Mickeys. So like every Golden Mickey that's been issued, they know what number it is, who it was issued to, and if it's been graded, what it was graded, and by what company.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And also random, but
right?
I like it.
It's like, what am I ever going to do with that information? I have no idea, but it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like that's information that I'm plugged into. I also have, and I said of Ink Thieves, formerly of Ink Thieves, but their whole database is huge. Like they're basically creating a Wikipedia for competitive Lorcana. So it's got all of the results from, I think, the North American challenges. Okay. They're working on EU, but EU data is a lot harder to find because all of their deck list submission is done in paper.
Oh.
Infinity, y'all gotta get on that. Like, please, I beg of you.
Yeah, we want data.
Digital deck lists, please. Like, let's join the 21st century. So I've done a lot of hunting down of like what ink pairing did you play, and so it's been a lot of like going into 20 lore, their Discord, and just like tagging random people and saying, hey, I saw that you played this person in this round of this competition. Do you remember what they played? Do you have a record of your matchups, basically? Which like a lot of players do. Like they just automatically will do that. And so most people that I've gotten a hold of have said, yeah, they played this. And like that is the extent of my interaction with him.
All right.
But like I've talked to a couple of like the guys on Inkless in France, and I've talked to there was what is his name? There was a really nice guy from the UK, went to Bochum and Birmingham and didn't make day 2, but like stalked the tables in day 2 and took notes of like what all the pairings were, because
we love that.
Don't have that data. Like
that's a good
the brackets that they show us on stream only start at top 32. We don't have top 64 data.
Mm-hmm.
So he wrote down what tables were playing what games, and like he didn't get all of them. Some of the games were over before he got there, but like he just like handed me his notes. He was like, "This is what I have." I was like, "Are you kidding? Like, this is perfect. Thank you so much." And I've filled in a whole bunch of my data because of that. And there was also Fabrizio Lorente, who's on one of the French teams. He goes by Fab on Twitter.
Wonderland. Thank you for the raid.
Wonder, hi buddy. Thanks for being here. Talk about community support. All the folks coming from the ICL.
I know, this is awesome. Thanks, Jamie West.
Yeah, Fabler created a database of all the EU players and was creating a ranking system there. I wasn't necessarily interested in ranking players, but that helped me find a lot of them to figure out where they were from. Because for us, it's a lot easier. I can go into Melee and I can see where the stores you play regularly are, and I can go, great, that's in this state, near this, metro area, that's your state, move on. But for a lot of these people who are traveling all over the EU to play, it's a lot harder to go, where are you actually from? And some of them, they're only registered in Melee for these DLCs.
Mm-hmm.
And so this spreadsheet from Fabler was really great because I could go in and I could search a player, and I don't know how he knew where they were from, but he figured it out. So I took that data and ran with it.
Yeah, and I know we talked a little before we started streaming about the new Play Hub and my hopes for it. So I was lucky enough to be part of testing on the Play Hub. And I mentioned that it had deck lists, and it was a really easy functionality to have it just built right in there. And I'm excited and hopeful that from when I tested to now, it's improved immensely. And I can't wait to have that data just live in the system and it be easy for you and other content helper creators get that data.
Knive is the other person who does a whole lot of work with data, and he does way more math focused statistical analysis than I do. His work is also incredible, and I would love to see him get some opportunities to support some broadcasts. But I also know that what he does takes a fair amount of time, and so I don't know that he could do stuff live the same way that I do.
Mm-hmm. But it would be nice to be able to get that data just easier and not have to dig as much as you do, because that digging piece takes a lot of time. And I'm even excited just for the map functionality.
Yes, that's going to be huge.
Because right now, myself and some of the other local players in the DFW area, so for my team, I have collected a giant list that's just sitting in a Word doc that has every Melee hub for every store in the DFW area. And
smart.
I feel like it's bad to complain because we are so incredibly lucky to have 20 plus stores within an hour drive of us in Fort Worth and Dallas. So it's an amazing problem to have, but when you're trying to find out when set champs are at all those stores to figure out which ones you can go to, which ones you can spread your team across and not have team kills in round one.
Do you want team violence?
So it's going to be nice to have that map functionality. And I think it'll be nice for new players because right now I think Melee is a little bit of, if you are not part of the
It
TCG
is
world,
not intuitive at all. Not
um,
at all.
it's not easy and it's not helpful. Um, Stop it. Bree, you're also the brains of the operations. And I'm sad that we got raided on a night that you're not here with us. So normally I'm not alone, guys. We do have a second host here, Bree. She's just at home. She's taking the week off.
So we all need a week off. But
Yes.
yeah, it's interesting that you asked that question about like what's the most off the wall thing that I've ever been asked to research, but because this didn't actually start out as like a research thing. Like I started, obviously, like Liam's and my partnership started with the trivia thing and like being server admin, but when he started casting, um, there was one, I think it was actually DFW, where he lost his voice after like 2 rounds. He started losing it. He was like, Caroline, I'm in trouble. And I've been a singer my whole life and I've done a lot of public speaking. And so I told him what to go find. Like I was like, you're at a hotel. They're gonna have tea somewhere. You need this kind of tea. You need honey. You need, and you need to go like sit in your hotel bathroom with the shower on and like steam yourself.
As high as it goes.
Exactly.
I also sang for a very long time, so I also know the tricks of the trade.
Right.
I
And
sometimes, if my voice is really bad, I suffer through just straight hot water, lemon, and honey.
yeah.
I won't even add the tea in there.
And I told him, I was like, you can't have black tea. It's got to be herbal tea. And like, if you can find lemon's great. If it's lemon flavored, like, okay, fine.
Fine, but
Do
some real lemon is where it's
real
at.
lemon's where it's at. Yeah, for sure. So we kind of talked that through, and then like he had me like listen to him. He's like, "Does it sound bad?" I was like, "Liam, you were doing the best you can in a bad situation. You just have to do what you can do and get through it. And then tonight, do not talk to anyone. Don't whisper. Don't anything. Be on vocal rest.
Vocal rest.
Vocal rest until tomorrow morning. No talking. I know you're gonna want to go out to dinner with people. I know everyone's gonna want to talk to you. You like Rebecca and Brandon need to be your bodyguards. Like you gotta go out and tell them you can't talk to anyone." And through that process, like it turned into almost more of like an emotional support thing of like I'm listening to his matches and giving feedback and saying, remember to use these words instead. Like you had this like one moment of a lot of ums. You had like a little too long of a pause between this like particular transition. Just talking through some of those like logistical kinds of things, and then from there, and also the way that I support him during the show sort of turned into this. I am now the like backstage producer for most of the casters who've done North American DLCs, which is a little wild to say.
I mean,
It's not in any official capacity. Like I'm not associated with the Ravensburger or the ESA broadcast.
You're everybody's secret weapon. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's what we should start calling you. LorcanaBelle, the secret weapon. Why North American casting is the best that it can be.
They're fantastic. Honestly, it is nothing to do with me. I support them in order for them to reach the heights that they're already capable of. When Rebecca started moving more into like an interview role, we brainstormed questions. We talked about different ways to phrase things and make sure that like she was engaging with the competitive side and the magical side. Making sure that we approached it from like a true journalism perspective. Journalism is my day job field, and so I told her, I was like, the number one rule is you always phrase it like a question. Don't say, tell me about this. Like, ask them a direct question, because that's going to then offer more opportunities for follow-ups, make it a conversation, rather than them just like info dumping it. And that one piece of advice, she took it and ran, and she's, you know, been incredible, because of course she is. She's Rebecca Class. It's like, hello. Wonder. Yes, I did edit his Emerald Steel guide back in like what, set 4. But he and I played swapsies. That is, it's not just like a favor I did him. He got me back, and he listened to me practice for an interview presentation that I did when I was still unemployed.
Oh, I love that.
At like 8 in the morning too. Like he had to go take his kid out of school or something. And there are people that I have met in this community that have given me more than I could ever possibly give them. And so I have no qualms about the time and the effort that I've devoted back to.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with that. I feel like every person in the Lorcana community is so supportive, and I think it's just been such a healthy community to be a part of. So we're going on, you know, our 3rd month of Enchanted Chatter now, and every time I reach out to somebody, they respond almost instantly, or, you know, if they're working, they respond a little bit later. But it's just amazing how supportive everybody is, and it's such a nice part of the community to be a part of, and like everybody's cheering on everybody, and I think that's great. And I think it's nice how like everybody's in their own little bubble of the community and helping each other in their bubble. I know, you know,
all the bubbles bounce together and we all go up.
Yes, exactly. Which I love, because the people that I've been like supportive by and have like kind of bounced ideas off of have also been supported by other people. So it's great to see like everybody just giving back to everybody. And I know, you know, Bree and I created this after I was on the round table with the Illumineers, and I was kind of like, we did a women's roundtable, and it's like, these are some things that are missing in the community. How do we get that into the community? And I'm like, all right, well, now now it's in my head, like, here's what we can do.
Right.
And I can do that. Like, I just got to do it. And I was like, all right, we're going to do this. Bree, you want to do this with me? And she was like, absolutely.
It's like, you get a little taste of it and you go, well, I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many other things that I could talk about.
And there's so many other amazing people that don't get spotlighted, and we wanted to make sure that we had a space that they could be spotlighted, and just really encourage and spotlight some of the amazing people in the community.
Yeah, it's wild to see how these things have grown, because like today, it's funny. Today is not only the 5-year anniversary of Defining Disney, it's also my 1-year anniversary of being added to the Illumineers cast, which is really special for me. I'm very lucky that Liam sort of found me when he did, because I will tell you, I started my Lorcana content account when I was at my absolute lowest, unemployed. Like, I had just been through some like really like final rounds of interviews, and it was like 3 of them, and I thought I was going to get one of them, and like I was going to be able to put my life back together, and I lost all of them. I didn't get a single one, and so I was dog sitting for my parents alone at their house, which is enormous. It's like a 5-bedroom, and it has a fully finished basement that we lived in for 2 years. And I was so sleep deprived because my dog was sick. Like, I was having to take him out at like 3 in the morning, in order to just like use the bathroom. So he didn't. Anyway, so like I was exhausted. I was alone, but I was keeping myself busy and like distracting myself from the terrible thoughts in my brain about these interviews with Lorcana content. I watched like every live stream there was in a week. On Monday night, it was back-to-back Let's Talk Lorcana and This Week in Ink. On Tuesday nights, it was Lorcana After Dark, and I was like having full-on conversations with Breezy in chat. Like, that was my week was Lorcana. And that's when I started making bracelets, just like not intended for any one person in particular, but I started my account that week and like started posting bracelets and like posting pictures of me watching stuff and like giving my comments back and things. And that got noticed somehow by a couple of people. You know, Liam obviously found me and was like, hey, you know your stuff and you're pretty cool. We like your vibe. You want to get on a call? And we talked about it. And he also was like really interested in like how can we develop my brand and like who I was in the community and like what my sort of unique place in the community could be. And then Live Laugh Lorcana, Katie and Becky, also sort of noticed me in the like wider conversation of women in the Lorcana space and like talking about the different ways that we have to approach the game and gaming in general because of gender and sexism, and threw me into a group chat of like 9 other ladies and was like, hey, we've been talking generally about doing something. What are we doing? Because we have to do something. And from there, it was just like, well, I can do this and I can do this and I can be a server admin. You know, I have experience with Discord. I have, you know, some social media experience and graphic experience. And it was very much like, you know, that moment in Hamilton where it's like, immigrants, we get the job done. It was very much like women, we get the job done. And it turned into Love to Lore, which is, you know, 300 strong and growing every day. And it's wild just to see how far it's come from like, I made that account out of like desperation and distraction and like needing to have a purpose for the time that I was spending on the game. Feeling. And I looked at like, I think the first women's roundtable had been pretty recent. And I looked at that and I looked at like Rebecca. Like Rebecca had been organically just showing up in my feed because I like all the things that she likes.
Yeah. That was basically how I found Rebecca as well. I was like,
yeah,
she's like leader, Lorcana,
books, like Disney.
Yeah,
like,
check.
That's okay. And I was like, if Rebecca can do it and Aaron can do it, why not? Like, let's try and see what happens. Like the worst that happens is nobody follows you, nobody listens to you, and it's dead in a month and you keep applying for jobs and eventually something comes along. You know, the cycle will cycle.
We here Bree and I joke that we will do this until we don't like Lorcana anymore, which I don't see a day when that
Probably
happens.
Never.
And it will be like, even if it's just our husbands being wonderful, supportive husbands and watching us and being the only two people to watch us, we'll still just have fun because it's an excuse to hang out with one of our friends and talk about one of our favorite topics and talk about the meta, talk about, you know, different stuff that's happening in the community, different
whatever we care about.
Whatever we want, and it's great. And then we get to have people that we wish live closer. As I've joked, yes, right. We said our date night. We get to bring people on that we love to, like, we wish lived closer, and we get to hang out with them. So it's really just the perfect combination of, I think the best part of like content creation in this space is all of the creators love what they do and love what they're talking about. And I think if no one was listening, would still be having fun. And it just so happens that everybody gets along and everybody like creates amazing content, and a lot of us all live all over the place, so we watch each other's content and it's wonderful.
This is our time together, right? Like it's so funny that you say that. I've been having a lot of these same conversations with Liam and Rebecca coincidentally and a couple of other folks too recently, of like, We do what we do because we like it, not because we think it's going to make us money, not because we think it's going to give us opportunities to, work with Ravensburger or any other big company or whatever. We do what we do because it matters to us.
Yep.
And because it brings us joy and fills our cups and has brought us so many people that have changed our lives. So why would we not do it? Yeah. Regardless of the numbers, regardless of the finances. I don't think there is anyone in the Lorcana content creator community who is more in the red because of their content than the Limiteers. I love them to death.
The go-kart wasn't.
wasn't lucrative.
Yeah, color me shocked.
Right. It's so funny because I remember on that very first call, like listening to Liam. I was on my patio in the heat of like late June, and no, I guess it was late May because today is when I first came on. Anyway, and Liam kept talking and like having ideas and throwing spaghetti at the wall basically, but like the way that his brain works is very much the same way that my brain works, except that he has Aaron to counter him and like be the logistics person. I've had to figure out how to be both in the same brain, yeah. Which is very strange sometimes. I will go through cycles of like, I want to do this. This sounds so cool. Wait, I don't have that kind of money or time or effort to invest. Wait, but this other idea is so cool, and it would do so much for me and for the community.
I love this comment because it just makes me think of the meme of like, I'll never financially recover from this.
the meme is Liam, but it is. I mean, it's like I said, it is worth every penny because of the way it has made us richer in intangible ways.
Yep, agreed.
And it's primarily not my money spending it, so I don't say that we lightly. I say that we because I've had extensive conversations with Liam about this, and then I know that we stand in the same place. And he and Aaron have chosen to do this together because it is something that they can share and something that they can also like bring Elena up with and have as something for the family to share. And it's rare that you have a hobby that is this specialized, that you can also share with anyone of any age.
Yeah.
In any walk of life. And like I've shared the story of like I used Lumineer's Quest to teach my parents how to play, and they had a blast.
I think
my mom, who like has never touched a TCG in her life and may never again.
That's okay. So that's very funny. So the first time I started playing Lorcana, and like interacted with Lorcana and my parents, was my parents live in Florida and were going to be at Disney World, and it was around the release of set 3, so Into the Inklands, and I asked if they could look. So there was still some first chapter available at Disney World. So I sent them a picture of what the card packs look like, and I was like, hey, can you see if World of Disney has any of these? And I get this phone call from my dad. My dad is like one of the most supportive people ever. He's all in. He's very much like was a sports dad. I have an older brother who played sports. I played sports for a while, and then I got into theater, and the man went straight into like, I will come to every play. I will come to every musical theater. He was #1 fan, and he picks up
sounds like my dad.
Call me and ask me like, what are these Lorcana packs? They look all the same. And I was like, Dad, they're like baseball cards. And he's like, oh, do they come with bubblegum? And to this day, it's my favorite interaction with my father. And I'm like, no, they don't come with bubblegum. But yes, they are like baseball cards. So the fact that the outside looks the same is totally okay. buy me as many as they let you buy. And that was a great investment because I pulled 2 enchanteds out of, I think it was like 16 packs.
That's awesome.
So they also pick good packs. And then
I was gonna say, you gotta have your dad pick the packs from now on.
Yeah, that was the start of my luck. It does not help that the first box I ever bought of Lorcana was an Into the Inklands box, and the first pack I opened had an enchanted Robin Hood. And I was sucked in immediately. I was like, God. And I will take all of the shiny cards, please. And thank you.
Only one of my 2 like all-time chases. It's fine.
And then when I was on the Illuminateers for the round table, my dad watched and doesn't know TCGs. So he wrote down every question he had, and the next day called me and asked me all of the questions. So it is awesome, like how even if like you don't know TCGs, because of the Disney aspect of it, it is like just a welcoming community. And like last night at my local store ended up getting their Reign of Jafar late, so they had to push all of their release events. So last night they did their starter deck event, and one of the members of the community had their niece in town, so brought their niece to play, and she kicked butt. I was impressed. I snuck a win off of her, but she went 2-1, so it was not a hard it was not an easy win that I got from her.
Hold on a second. Have I been? JDZ was right. I've been through my webcam mic this whole time and not my actual boom mic.
You know, it is night and day. Should we have noticed that earlier? I want to be clear to everybody. We mic checked. And I was like, I don't hear all of your fans running, so I think you're good. You're a little quiet, but I was just like, I also have a bunch of fans going, so I assumed it was my fault.
JDC messaged me a little while ago. He was like, hey, I think you're coming through your computer instead of your mic. You sound different than you did the other day. And I was like, oh, I'm in a totally different room. Like, it's you know, I have fans on in here. Like, it's fine.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we did a show where we kept yelling at Brie for moving the mic away from her. Turns out her mic was off the entire show.
No.
So the reason she was quiet was because she was coming through on my mic.
That happens to Liam and Aaron all the time, actually. Like they have a problem with their 2 mics in the same room. One of them ends up turned off.
So all good. We live through technical difficulties. We figure,
you know, if that's the worst thing that happens today, I'm okay. You know, I did pretty good.
Yeah, you did fantastic. So was excited though. I love when we get some of the kids in the community to come out. I think it's always fun. We have a lot of really good players that are younger, and it's always fun when they get in the mix, because I think sometimes they'll play something spicy and you're just like, would never have thought to put that together, but you just kicked my butt. I am now humbled, and I'm gonna go think about my choices.
Right. We have a team member like that in Love to Lore, actually. Kyla, who is better known as Enchanted Kid. She is always up for the spiciest brews. And then we had on the Ink Inc broadcast, his name is Penn, 8 years old, I want to say. Played.
I wasn't that smart at 8.
Right. No, me either. Played, and it's not like he played some like, you know, aggro deck or something. He played Ruby Sapphire, which is like a very complicated decision tree deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I don't
play Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah.
Color was talking about while he was playing. She was like, every time I play this deck, Sailor has taught me how to mulligan for this, and I listen to him and it all makes sense, and then I get the deck in front of me and I forget everything.
So, help.
Exactly. And like meanwhile this 8-year-old is like out here kicking butt with it. I'm like,
yeah.
He's a set champ. He won Arcasia's Island set champs. He lost to Garrick in Azurite Sea, and he went back and he trained and he won the whole thing in Arcacious Island. It's like, hello? I don't have I know plenty of adults who have no set championships.
This is how I feel. So Bree brought up Lorcana Kid.
Yep.
Derek, he is amazing. He plays Ruby Sapphire. I don't know. I haven't seen him at our locals recently. He might be taking a break. I know he picked up One Piece a little bit too, because he's just so smart. He can pick up whatever game he wants and just be so good at it. But he is one of the best Ruby Sapphire players that I've played against. And he gives me a run for my money anytime I play him against whatever he's playing. And I love that challenge because I think like kids get to bring in a new like mindset to the game, and it's so good, I think, for the community. And I'm excited. We because Derek was getting a lot of like, he was on the Limiteers, I believe, once, and some different shows. His school got super interested in Lorcana, so a bunch of my friends locally, we gave a bunch of bulk to him in his school so that he could play with all of his friends, and they didn't have to like buy decks. They had
so
like
cool.
a bunch of starter decks and just random bulk that we had laying around.
Yeah, we have a limited number of cards that we keep of each card, and everything after that goes to my housemate who has her own collection. And then if she doesn't need it, it goes in the donate box. And when we moved, we had 2.5 booster boxes full of cards.
So
we donated them to our library.
Oh, I love that. That's such a good idea. I didn't even think about giving it to the local library.
Yeah, we have a local library who has like a TCG night, and they didn't have any Lorcana product to work with, and so we donated a whole bunch of stuff. It was set 2, 3, and 4 mostly, but because first chapter was so scarce to find in the early days.
So I just got these new clear lovely bins.
I was gonna say, you got some upgrades up there since the last time I saw you.
Yes. So I moved my collection into these.
Fancy.
And these are all like my play sets and cards that I play with. And basically was like, I cannot keep any extra outside of what goes in here because it was getting out of hand. And I filled, so those, they're 2x3 rows. So it fits a set perfectly. And I got 8 of them. So basically once a set rotates out, I can switch it in the new sets as they get released, and just kind of put the set that rotates out in storage. Because I assume with like the Infinity format, I'll have a pretty set deck, and maybe just like rotate in like 1 or 2
couple of cards
as we get new cards into that format.
Yeah.
And I won't be changing that deck as much as I would a core constructed deck. But I now, because I also take all of the bulk from my teammates and people in the local community, because I refuse to let anyone throw out cards. It hurts my soul. I now have 8+ boxes of bulk. So if anyone needs bulk, I'm your girl. I gotcha. If you need commons or uncommons, I have more than I know what to do with.
Do you have common and uncommon foils?
No. So those, so there are, it's basically non-foils of uncommons and commons.
Gotcha.
Common, like foils and stuff, because I am a degenerate who likes my decks to be shiny. Go into, I keep 1 for my no touchy, as Bree so nicely refers to it.
I also have a no touchy binder.
The only thing that doesn't get included in my no touchy that for most people it does are the enchanteds. I play my enchanteds. The only one that doesn't get played. And I mean, if I found a deck to play her in, I probably would play her, but I do have an Elsa.
I could not play that. It's almost $1,000. Like,
it's just cardboard. I pulled it. I didn't buy it. So I bought a pack to get it, but I didn't have to buy her for that much. So I feel
you
like
just casually pulled her.
So
Melissa had to win her Elsa's. You just casually pulled one.
So my Elsa story is pretty good, and I've shared it before, but I will share it again. So it was for the Maribel set champs. So that would have been
set 5.
Set 5. I made it to top 8. I went undefeated into top 8.
Incredible.
First round of Top Cut, I lost, and I was not salty at all. It was like I bricked it was Steel Song, and it bricked, and sometimes that happens. So I was sitting at the store, and the store had some set 2 gift sets, the like D100 gift sets. So I bought myself one of those, and as my friend who worked at the store was grabbing that, he pulled it, and behind it was a set 1 gift set that apparently the store had and like had been refusing to sell for like ages. Like, they're like, we're not selling this, we're gonna keep it, maybe use it for pricing or something. And I was like, I want that. And he's like, I don't know if we're selling it, and I don't know how much it is. And he's like, I was like, well, figure out how much it is and if they'll let you sell it. And he went back, and they're like, yeah, sure. Like, it's just been sitting there. Like, we're not doing with it. Just sell it. And I think it was $75. So it wasn't even like crazy markup. Like, it,
right.
No, it wasn't MSRP, but it wasn't crazy for how far out of set 1 we were. And I went, and my friend was like, it'll be so funny if you pull Elsa. And I was like, that would be amazing. Cause like I had like, that was the set I decided I was going to collect one of each Enchanted. And I was like, I'm just never going to have Elsa, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. And so I think it was like the second pack I opened out of the gift set, I just started laughing because I was like, I can't believe this. And I turned it. He's like, you didn't pull Elsa, did you? And I was like, I did.
Oh my god. That's incredible.
I have had insane luck when it comes to pulling Enchanteds.
Yeah. That's why your show is called Enchanted Chatter.
Mm-hmm. I was this week I was a few packs away from the Enchanted for locals yesterday. I was a little sad, but couldn't be too sad because it was the younger girl who went 2 and 1. She was the one who she pulled Bambi, which yes, so pretty.
It's so funny. I had a conversation with a friend, Lorcana Craze, who I was on with earlier this week, before the set released, and people were saying in his Discord, like, oh, the enchantments from the set are kind of underwhelming so far. And I was like,
excuse you,
can't relate. Can't relate.
Can't.
And he was like, yeah, the ones that they revealed today, I don't know, they just didn't hit for me. And I was like, Bambi? Hello? The one that made Liam cry on stream? Like, can't relate. And then he pulled Bambi in his box. Lorcana Craze pulled Bambi in his box on opening weekend. And he was like, I was wrong. I confess that I was wrong and you were right. I was like, I told you. This is a beautiful card. And you are lucky to have it. You better treat it well.
Yeah, I love it. Can I share the luck? Yes, it is very common at locals for people to ask me to bless their packs. I get packs thrown at me constantly being like, touch this. And I'm like, okay. It doesn't always work, but I'll try. And then when Brie and I were visiting her sister-in-law, I bought their packs and then they paid me back. And that my luck was pretty good on that one. They pulled 3
Oh.
legendaries out of like random packs. So I was like, all right.
So there's got to be some kind of like other. It's not just you like putting your hands on it. You've got to like be invested in the pack somehow, whether you pick it or you purchase it or yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I try.
Bree says we rub her head.
All right. Well, I told you we were going to stream for an hour, and we're now sitting at an hour and a half. So
this is what happens on Illuminateers. I just talk, man. Like you had something in the outline of like how do you keep casters on task. I don't. I can give Liam time warnings when we're on Let's Talk Lorcana, and we blow past them, and it doesn't matter because the conversations are fun and typically they're also important, and you know they're revealing about whoever we're talking to, and that matters more rather than sticking to our time frame. It's not like we have somebody coming after us like we used to with This Week in Ink. So we can go all night if we want. Speaking of which, 100th show is coming up. We just did show number 92 this week. I have been taking a break recently, but I promise, and Liam, you're here, so you can hold me to this. I will be back for show number 100.
That is fantastic. I didn't even realize how close they were to 100.
We're very close. It's very exciting.
That means we're going to have to flood the stream that night.
Yeah, we want everybody there. It's gonna be a good time. We gotta figure out exactly what we're doing. We've talked about a lot of ideas, me and Liam being ideas people. We're in that like throw spaghetti at the wall phase of like we could do this, we could do that, we could do a 24-hour trivia stream, and we could do yeah,
go all out. That would be crazy. But
we've also talked about like a charity stream and like all kinds of cool things.
I love that.
We gotta figure out exactly what we're doing. But Liam just said we're taking suggestions. So feel free, shout out the Illuminateers Discord if you guys want to come hang out. Let us know how you feel. Let us know what you want to see for show number 100.
What events do you have coming up?
Yeah, so other than show 100, which I assume will be in 8 weeks, I am... Oh, buddy.
Two. I mean, you have one. You have to have another to race.
You have to, right? Exactly. Except the first one doesn't actually go. Yeah, I know. He only had so much time to fix it up.
That's fair. That just means eventually it'll go.
Exactly. So I know coming up, I have a Creator Showdown series I'll be in, led by Hobbyist Novice. We're doing like a pack rush battle series among creators, which is going to be fun. I don't know exactly when that'll come out, sometime this summer. Obviously Worlds is coming up. I will not be there. I will not be on screen, but my work will be used in the casting, which is, reward enough for me for sure. And then end of July, I plan to support Ink Clash for Sharp Gaming in Arkansas. September the 6th and 7th will be the Ink Inc Open for the first time. 256 players, core constructed, 128 Infinity event, and also they're doing a juniors event. So it'll be a really good time. I hope to be able to be there in person, which will be my first Lorcana tournament in person, which is crazy to say. Yeah, so some good things coming, nothing super. And I'm also, I guess I could say this here. There's not too many people here. I am working on my own this kind of thing again.
I love that.
It will be called Behind the Ink.
Okay.
And it will. There's something that I sort of landed on when we were all sort of down and out about the world situation, is that it's not just about Lorcana, right? Like we all came to this same place, to this community for Disney Lorcana, but we are staying and we devote so much extra time to it because of the people. This game is different than other TCGs because of the people. And so I want to treat our community like whole people, and I want them to treat me the same way too. And so I'm hoping to do kind of a deep dive into not just you play Lorcana, why, but also like why do you play TCGs at all? Like how did you get into this? What is your favorite part about this? But also then like digging deeper into like, you've been doing this for how long? Is this where you thought you'd be when you started? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want to see out of the game? What do you know? And also like,
I love this idea. I'm excited. Sign me up for a spot whenever.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've talked to a couple of
about me, but
people, excuse you. You are a valuable member of this community. I won't have any of that. This is another thing. I have spent so much time with my friends, my fellow content creators, fighting their imposter syndrome for them because I have it too, and I know how it feels. And having someone to stand next to you and go, I know exactly what you're going through. Stop it. Your brain is lying to you. Really can interrupt that thought pattern and like change how you behave.
You're right, because how many male content creators
that part
would never I said
that
the quiet part out loud, would never be like, I don't belong here, I belong here. So
you belong here. Right. Say it out loud. And I can tell you for certain that the people even that you would consider like on the Mount Rushmore of Lorcana content, like they feel it too.
Yeah.
Whether that's as often as you do or less, or some of them more, probably. I know, like, I don't want to get too honest for Liam here, but like he is his own worst critic, and that is also something that we have in common, and why we have bonded so well is like we have to be able to pull each other out of that hole and say, I've been here before, I know the way out.
Yep.
I don't know if you're a West Wing fan at all, or if anyone in the chat has seen the West Wing, but that's a quote from Leo McGarry, who's the chief of staff. He tells his deputy chief of staff a story about.
I knew I liked you.
Yeah,
I watch it every year, at least once a year. That and Gilmore Girls are my two.
There we go. Shows. Okay, yeah, we are kindred spirits for sure. The West Wing is a perfect show. It is one of my favorite shows of television of all time. But Leo McGarry says, he tells Josh this story of a man in a hole, and a pastor walks by and he says, I will pray for you. And he continues on, and several other people, walk by and like, say words of support, but don't do anything. And his friend walks by, and his friend jumps in the hole with him, and he goes, what did you do that for? Now we're both stuck in here. And his friend says, well, that's okay, because I've been here before. I've been in this hole before, and I know the way out. And we have to be able to pull each other out of that scary imposter syndrome hole.
Yeah.
And there's, I don't want to get too deep into it here as we're trying to wrap up, but like, I think there's something about that imposter syndrome hole that like has a lot of us stuck in this like scrappy mentality of like, I have to prove something. And, I don't belong here yet, but I could. And I have to do X, Y, or Z to do that. And until that point, it doesn't matter if I'm doing services for other people and not getting paid. I'll do them just because I want the exposure. I want the experience. I X, Y, and Z. If you're casting, if you are making art, if you are making, organizational products, if you are event organizing, if you are whatever you're doing for this community, if you're performing services for other people, you should be compensated for that. You deserve that. we all devote so much time and energy to this. We are professionals, or we are turning ourselves into professionals brick by brick.
Brick by brick.
You know, we have thrown ourselves willingly into the fire, and we are forging second careers out of this. Lots of us. Like, this is what we do with our time when we come home at the end of our day jobs, is we go right into our nighttime jobs.
Yep.
And so, like, if you look at it that way, why would you not compensate someone for their work?
Absolutely.
So that's another question in the community I've been turning over with some other people. It's like, we have to find a way to make sure that not only are we treating each other like whole people, but we're treating each other like working people.
Yeah.
Like people who work hard and have practiced hard and devoted a lot of time and energy and effort to what you're getting out of them. I
would agree with that.
Yeah. So anyway, some things in the works on all of those fronts, but the show is hopefully coming this summer, which is why I wanted to go ahead and like drop the title and let you know that
there's definitely going to be, I'm sure, as you put stuff out on social, we'll definitely share it here. We always like to support. I know next week we'll be hosting the Rotten to the Lore content creators on the stream.
Another new group out there.
Yeah. So super excited. I think I've watched some of their content and I think it's going to be great for new players. I think it's covering a really good niche that kind of was open and needed to be filled. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that every new account that I've seen pop up recently, like, is really looking at that question of like, how do I do this my way? How do I do this a little differently? Yeah. And I think that is exactly the right way to approach this.
Agreed.
So I'm excited to see what they've got and to see. I'll talk to them next week.
Yeah, we're excited. Well, I think we've kept each other here. We probably talk late into the evening.
Oh yes, and sweat like crazy.
God, feel the pain. Well, we hope, first off, thank you so much for joining. And I know at the top of the show you shared where people can find you, but please give yourself another plug.
Sure. So if you have recently joined us, my handle is right here above my face. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, at LorcanaBelle, on Instagram at Lorcana.belle. And then, of course, I am the ever-present Discord lurker. I am the local trivia master and server admin on the Illumiteers Discord server, as well as an organizer and server admin for Love to Lore, the community for marginalized gender players. I'm also in a lot of the team servers like Maelstrom, Inkfinity, Ink Thieves, Ohana, and then I'm in the DMV server now, which is sort of the unofficial Ink Inc server. So like, you know, I'm everywhere a little bit.
I've fine, Caroline. Anywhere.
I've honestly had to cut down a little bit recently because I was spending too much time on my phone at work. So there are a couple servers now where you can't find me, and that's okay.
That's fair. We need to find our limits, and that's a very valid fact. Next week, Brie will be back with us. I banned her this week. She needed to rest, but she'll be good as new and with us next week. So can't wait to see you guys next week. And thank you all for joining and tuning in, and hope to see you next week. Talk to y'all later. Bye.